today just because I said I would, but I think I'm going to space out the streams more before until I finish the books that I have here because I realized that it's gonna be a lot more time than I thought it would be. So it's gonna be at least 80 hours to read all of them, like 80 hours straight. So it's probably gonna take me more than a week, and I want to finish this as fast as possible. So I'm probably just gonna read a lot. So, but I do think that it's a lot better to do exercises, and I don't expect the books to teach me like everything. I'm just gonna like you only learn for real when you start doing the exercises and trying to build things. But I wanna learn read all the books and watch. There's also a bunch of these channels that I found from another book that I was reading, and this other one here as well. So like there's a lot of stuff to learn. So I do prefer doing things like this now, so I get myself like familiar with the way people do things and the things that they recommend, but I don't expect to remember everything, so I'm probably gonna struggle in the beginning a lot to remember everything and to especially like when to use each thing. So that's and I'm already feeling this with this exercise here because even though I read a bunch of stuff, like it's completely different when you have to implement because then like when you're watching someone else do it is like obvious because they already have the code, but when you have to come up with this stuff, it's 100% different. So I'm going to try to do this challenge here for half an hour, and if I can't do it, I'm just gonna look at the solution and move on to the next one. And I think I'm going to do this uh, until I get myself familiar with uh, C++. So I haven't read the problem yet. The value is either 0, 1, representation of a number, or in the decimal value, or in the linked list. The most significant bit is at the head of the linked list. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is just go over the nodes one by one, cache the value, and like convert. So, only thing. Obviously, I could. I don't think I'm gonna. This is the thing that I was talking about that is kind of tricky because I've watched a bunch of videos and read the books, and I know that there are standard algorithms. If you use like, I'm not really sure if you. I think you have to do it here if you want to include. But maybe you can't even include on the on LeetCode. But this library here has a bunch of algorithms that you can use. But then the question is like when you use them. And also the standard library has a bunch of stuff. I think there's both this C standard and the one like this. Not really sure what the difference between them is. So the first thing that comes to my mind is just to create a vector or an array. It has to be a vector, I think, because it has to be dynamically allocated because I don't know. So the first thing that like I'm thinking about is like if there is an easy way to get the length of the list, but I think that's for getting the length of the linked list, I have to traverse all the nodes either way. So like I need to know the length because then if I know the length and I'm gonna be able to convert the numbers based on the case they are at or the place. But I'm not really sure if that's the best approach. So first I'm gonna try to figure out like on the pseudo code how to do it, then I'll have to search what is the best way. So if I could get the length straight away, then obviously I can just convert as I traverse the list, but I think I can't do that without traversing. So how can I do this? The problem is that the first one is the most significant one, so I can't translate directly without knowing the length, because I'm not gonna know at what position it is. So I think it's 1 in the beginning, then 1, then 2, then 4. Just wanna remember the conversion. So I think it's 0, then 1, or 0, no, it's 1, 2, then 4, then 8, and so on. 4. So the worst approach that I think about, but I kind of don't want to do this, but maybe I should, is just to do like length. Then I iterate over the list and I add the length by 1 each time. Then at the end, I, based on the length and the numbers, the values of each one, I convert. But it feels like that's not the way. So the question is how to know. Like if it was the other way, obviously it would be a lot easier. And I can just do the conversion straight away. So how can I do it from the ends of the thing? Maybe another approach is to reverse the list and then do the other way, but then I think it's also kind of pointless. So I think you should probably be able to do it on one iteration, like the first iteration. So I think the trick is to understand how to convert the first one directly without knowing the length, I think. Or maybe the other approach, but I think like problem is that all these approaches are kind of the same. It's not really sure if I'm supposed to do them. So the other one that I'm thinking about is just using a string. So the string I don't remember really well if it is from the standard library. So like standard and string and then some or whatever. Don't remember if that's how, well obviously I can look it up. So you create a string, then you loop over the list and you convert each number into the character and then put on the string. But and then at the end, obviously, you have the whole number. You just translate. But I think that's also probably not very good. But maybe that's the way that I'm supposed to do it. Like, I can create a vector as well. So the thing, I gotta get used to declaring this stuff because it's like very different from the other languages. So let me see how the initialization of the vector works. As I forgot, but I think it's something like that. So that's the other approach. But then, the thing that it doesn't feel very right is that the way that I'm thinking is just looping over the list and then pushing everything to the vector, and then I call a method from the library to sum everything. But it feels kind of like a hacky thing to do. So I can sum based on the index, or I can reverse the vector or whatever. But either, like, I think that the thing that they want me to do, but I'm not 100% sure, is to figure out how to convert the first one without knowing the length. So how can I do that? The reason why the vector doesn't feel that is very right to me is because otherwise, like, why create a linked list first if you're gonna use the vector either way? But maybe it does make sense in some situations because you wanna use the linked list for something and then you wanna convert for something else. Also the other annoying thing is the templates. It's very confusing to me. Templates and namespaces, but not because it's hard to understand. It's just because it's hard to know when is the right time to use them. That's the part that is most difficult. I guess it is just like that's the way that I was doing. I don't know why true values though. On the template here. I gotta figure out the way to. I think that's the most important thing, but it goes back to the project that I'm trying to build. So I think uh, until I haven't built a project, then I just have to. But I don't like this is the thing. Like maybe I should try the solution that I'm thinking about just for practice. But the issue is that I know that it's not gonna matter because like yeah, maybe it does help to memorize like the methods and everything like that, but like it doesn't matter because the core of the thing is like the thought process is like how do you figure out what is the best approach, not necessarily how to do it. So like I can think a bunch of different ways, like I said, and maybe one of them works or yeah, but like I don't see the point to just try to implement them because then like is the thing that like it doesn't solve the underlying issue, which is that I don't know like which direction to go with. The most obvious way, so maybe just look at the solution and move on to the next one. The most obvious way is to loop over, because that's the thing, like, because if I try to implement the thing that I'm gonna be doing is just copying the, like, I can search for the stuff and then put the code there. Like that's the, if I just have to build by myself, maybe I should try that. But I feel like I'm gonna have to look it up, so. Another thing that I have to review or to study a lot more is the pointers. This is another thing, another reason why I wanna finish reading all the books, so I can go back to the Kenneth book, because there I think is the best book that I found so far to explain, because there's a bunch of different situations where you use the plus plus operator and then you use the indirection operator at the same time, and there is nuances on the way that the compiler is gonna translate this value here. Sometimes the associativity is gonna be from right to left, and sometimes from left to right. What that means is that like, the same in mathematics is like which operator is gonna be read first. So in mathematics, if you have a plus and a multiplication, then multiplication goes first, has higher order. But in compilers, it's gonna depend on the way that the compiler is gonna read the tokens, or as it's parsing the abstract syntax tree, the way that it traverses the tokens is gonna determine which one gets read first. And then in some situations, the plus plus has higher order than the indirection. And then the difference that's gonna have is that you are either gonna increment the pointer to move to the next place on the array, for example, and then get the value with the indirection, or you're gonna get the value and then increment the value. So it really matters where you put the stuff. And then he talks about some stuff about because every time you do the plus plus, it copies the value, I think, or something like that. And there's nuances that I don't understand very well. So I guess another thing that I have to do here is like I'm not really sure if that's the best way to do it though. Like current nodes, and then I just increment the length. And the most confusing thing is the pointers. Maybe they don't need the current node for this, just adds and then. I don't know why it's not highlighting. The thing is, I'm not really sure if this is gonna get the value or it's gonna get the pointer, because I'm using the direction here to get the struct, because it's receiving the pointer. So in the way that I'm imagining in my mind, not sure if that's how it's gonna work. But I get the value of the struct, and then I make the value equal to the next one, which is this one. But then I'm not really sure if it's gonna get the pointer to the value, or if it's gonna get the actual struct of the next node. And the reason why I'm not really sure is because of the arrow operator. I think that it gets the actual struct for the next, and then it just goes one by one and increments the length. So maybe I should do equal 0 here first. Then if I have that, then I think I can translate. So another thing that I could do is a map. I know that on the center library you can also have a map. You can also use a map. And it's pretty much the same way that it works on the other languages. It's just the initialization that is going to be different. So it creates a hash map which connects key value pairs with a hash function. So I could create a map there, and then the problem is that I don't know. And this is the issue with this approach, is because I have to loop over, and then after I loop over, I have to loop over again, based on the length. Or like I said before, I can reverse and then just do it based on the index. So I can put the values here and then reverse this vector. I think it's pretty similar to the other languages as well. I think it's push back or something like that. There's some pushback. And I don't remember really well, but maybe like this. Then here, I do think there is a reverse algorithm from this library, from the videos I've watched, but I don't remember how to use it very well. I think on vectors you have I'm not 100% sure, but maybe they are iterators. On iterators you can use the start, I think, function and the end function to get the beginning and the end of the vector, and then on most of these algorithms you pass those two as the first arguments, and then you pass something else, either a function, a lambda function, or a value to determine like what happens. So I can look this up and then like reverse. I think this would probably work. And then based on the based on the index, I think that's how I would do it. But I don't think it's the way that they want me to do it, probably. So I'm trying to think if I can come up with a way that I don't have to loop twice. I can just do one time. But the obvious challenge is that the left one is the most significant, I think. The most significant bit is at the head of the linked list. So that's the problem. How do I know how much this value is gonna be? How much will I have to move up to the power of 2? So there's probably a way to do it. Another thing that comes to my mind, but I'm not really sure how I would do this, is a tree. There is some, I don't remember which one it is, but there is a data structure that is a tree that holds either a tree, or I think it's a heap or something like that holds the highest value. But obviously it's bits, so I wouldn't know. But maybe there's a way to translate or convert the linked list to a tree, and then the tree would be easier to get to do the conversion. It's probably not the best way. So let me see. Your prints is like counts or counts, character outs, and then the arrows is like the flow of data, I think. Then but I'm not really sure if I can do like this. I don't remember really well. So I'm just gonna search. It is the way that I was doing there. It's complaining about the algorithms, so maybe I wrote it in the wrong way or I can't use it. Probably you can't use the libraries. That's kind of like cheating, or maybe I'm initializing on the wrong place. Hey, what's up? I was complaining about the standard, but that wouldn't make sense. So I think I'm initializing on the wrong place probably. So how do I include this? It doesn't make sense. Okay. So I guess just the standard. This one is for C, and this one is for C++, probably. And the other one, I'm not really sure why it is on, but maybe it's just LeetCode doesn't allow you to use it. Oh yeah, this is because this is a struct, not a. But I think on C, on the exercises I did last time, I was able to do it like that. So, yeah, but if I do next, it's gonna be the same thing, I think. But it's maybe with next works because it's gonna be a null but then I think it's not gonna work because it's gonna be a struct, so oh, it does work. So it looks like it is. No, it is incorrect. So maybe I have to do the plus plus before. Because there's 3 items here. It's still true. Well, it's because it's gonna stop one, so I have to do it like here. It stops one before it ends because I'm testing with the next. I don't understand really well why it works if I put head next, because it's gonna test with this struct, but it doesn't work with the head. So like both situations I'm testing against this struct, which is not a boolean, but with the head it complains and with the next it doesn't. I don't understand why. So now it would be correct. So I think I'm not gonna do it with, like, I'm not gonna try this stuff here because it doesn't really matter to me that much. Just wanna see, let me see how much time. Okay, so it's almost over. I wanna see if I can think about how to convert directly with only one loop. But I'm probably just gonna look at the solution because the time is running out, so. I think that reading the books really helps with this, like, because now I'm much more aware of the stuff that I can use and the C++ has, and I think it's just gonna take a bunch of time. Like the way that I'm doing the books now, I think, is like reading I'm trying to skip the parts that I've read a bunch of times already. So, like, it's kind of like spaced repetition, where each time, like, once I feel that I got tired of listening to the same stuff, and I started to zone out when I'm listening to the book, then I just skip the parts and I'm getting to the parts that I'm still not 100% sure. But I still think that is not gonna be, it's like one of those things that is tutorial hell. So I don't recommend for everyone, I think. But since I'm gonna be doing this a lot, for me I think it works. So, like, just an initial phase where I have an overflow of information in my brain. Then once I get over this step, then I think I can change the frequency and start doing more and then studying less and go back and forth. I don't speak Russian, man. Sorry. So let's look at the solution. So I knew that there was a way to do it. I didn't know, obviously, but there was a strong feeling that there was supposed to be a way. But so I guess I understand it in the wrong way. Because, like, this is saying that, like, it starts. So I guess I understood the problem the wrong way. Because by most significant bit, I was thinking that the head would be the one on the right, for example. So, like, I can only know how much this bit is worth by knowing the other ones, because it's obviously going to start here. So this one's going to be 1, I think, then 2, then 4, then 8, 16. So I would only know that this is worth 16 by knowing the length of the whole thing. So that's where I was stuck. But I think what they mean by most significant is the other way because of this solution here, but I'm not really sure. Because how is it possible that he's just... maybe I'm confusing because... So he multiplies the result by 2 and then he adds the value of the head. Yeah, so the way that... this way, it seems like it is the other way around. So you're just accumulating the value. There's other... You also have reduce on C++, is an algorithm from the standard library, so it works in the same way as JavaScript, I think. So I could use that as well, I think. Oh, but that wouldn't make sense because you have a linked list, so it's probably... But unless I'm thinking about this the wrong way, I think that this means that it's gonna be the other way around, where this one's gonna be 1, and then 2, 4, 8, and 16. And this is the much easier, obviously. So first is multiplying by 0. Then it's getting the value there. It's gonna be the 1. Let's see if there's another solution. Yeah, it's the same thing. I think I just... read it wrong because I thought the most significant would be the other way around, so it's not that interesting. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. Maybe I'll do something else as well. Still not really sure. Like, is the problem like that I'm trying to solve, I think? Because the core of the issue is not the what you do necessarily. It's like how to go about thinking about what's the best approach. So maybe I should try a hard one and then just spend a bunch of time and then break down everything. I think hard is gonna be too hard for now. What I'm gonna do is just like try to write like simple stuff to see if I can remember or find the correct way to write things. So mainly implement the main data structures and then implement maybe the standard or the algorithms. So but I'm not gonna care about solving. So this one I remember solving in Python, I think. So the way that you do it is advancing one node one more than the other. So like by the time that one of the nodes hits the end, the other one's gonna be at the middle. I think that's how we solve it. Const. I don't remember the condition really well. Oh, I have to point them to... So I think you point both to the head first. And then while fast. I don't know if this will work. I think there is some like tricky thing about this that I forgot. At the end there. Yeah, but the logic is that I think to solve. So I should return a list node. Or maybe I should return the pointer. Like, not really sure. Or like this. Probably like this. So the thing that I'm not sure about this is the pointers here. So this one goes one ahead and this one goes two. But maybe it's better to do like this, but I'm not really sure if there's a difference or not. And then the tricky thing is probably this thing here. I turn this second. So I guess what I should do is just keep, like on the other one, keep track of the length. And then if it's an even number, I just go to the next one. No, I think it has to be. So if it is divisible by 2, then it means that there is 2 nodes. So just go to next. So the thing that I'm unsure about is the pointers. So let me think. But if I do it like this, then I think it fucks up on the other one. Oh, there's also something about the... Yeah, I can't do it like this because I'm not changing the head. Hmm. So maybe if I put heads and then head next. I think the problem is gonna be the pointers here. There's probably another easy, like there is a probably another, not another, probably an easier way to do it just by moving the pointer. I think this is the problem here, is that like if I make them both equal to heads, then I'm not sure about the pointers. Because every time that I change heads, it's gonna change the other ones. I'm not really sure if it's gonna change or not. It's Technically, I am moving the pointer to the next one, so yeah, maybe it's supposed to work. It's obviously complaining about the because I'm initializing as a instruct and trying to make it equal to a pointer. I think I have to do it like this on the other one as well. It's probably because of the like the pointer. I think I forgot to put the time as well. Like what I have to do is figure out a way to I have to create another object, I think, like make this maybe there's a better way. Like a way to just move the pointer on the head and then but yeah, like I don't see a way to do it without creating another object on the slow. Because what I think is going wrong, and I'm not 100% sure, is because both of them are pointers to the head. Then when I change the head, like it's gonna change the both of them. Like, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I don't understand really well like what is gonna happen on the first because it would make sense in my mind, at least for now, that this would change the pointer of the slow to be pointing to the next node. And then here I would change the head, but I'm not really sure if when I change the head here, if it's gonna change the next. I don't see why it would, but maybe it does. And I think that probably this is wrong as well, the way that I'm like changing them. I think there is a better way. So how can I do it? How can I do this? Hmm. Maybe I don't need the fast as well. So the question is, when moving the head, when changing the head, does it change the other variable? Because it's pointing to the same thing. Let's do this. So they're both pointers to the heads. So like, yeah, pointers to the struct that contains the least node of the head. Both of them, the beginning. At least as far as I understand. But then here would have to be different. And then here it becomes the next one, and this one becomes 2. after that until it reaches the end. Yeah, but the problem is that the head's not never gonna change this way. So what if I just do slow? Not if I do this. Okay, so at least it's not. So maybe this one passes, but then it fails on the other pass. Hmm. So, let me think. Maybe if I just do one more here, then it works. But I'm not really sure if it's gonna work on the... And this is obviously wrong. I guess it's because it has to be 0 here, so... because when you initialize without this, then it becomes a random value, so it doesn't make sense. And I think it's gonna fail on the other tasks. So probably I have to do this here as well. I'm gonna be right back. Maybe a couple more minutes and then I'll look at the solution. So I think the problem is probably this thing here because I'm checking. But if it doesn't have the next, then it shouldn't warn you. So I guess the problem is this thing. Because obviously it's gonna count until the middle. So let's see. It's an even number, it should return the number. Let's see if it's 5. I don't want to think about it. Just like easier to test either one. But it looks like it's not working even if I put the other one, so I'm not really sure. It's probably something else. Because it should work if it's not this one or the other. Like this goes up until the middle or whatever the number is, but I know that is either gonna be divisible by 2 or not. If it isn't, then I just return the number, and if it is, I just have to get the next one, I think. And the second middle. But looks like it's not working. It's weird because it was working before, so what did I change here? Let me comment this out and see what happens. Like maybe it's the value of the length. It could be because of the order. Which goes back to the thing that I was saying before. That depending on where you put the stuff is gonna change because of the way that the compiler works. So when you do here, I think that it returns the value first, then adds later. So I think I'm getting one less. So maybe if I do like this, it's gonna work, but I'm not sure. It looks like it is. Let's try this one.
The mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience.
So we're getting the next one. This tree. So since it's tree, so when it is like this, I think I should return the next one. But the question is, why is it one more? Like, because without this thing here, it should be returning this. So obviously I'm advancing one more than I should. Yeah, but if I remove this thing here, it's not gonna work. Hmm. I don't think that this is gonna have any like effects, but I'm gonna try. So the problem is that I'm advancing one more than I should, I think. Yeah, it's just 5, 6. Because this should be advancing one more, I think. Because it's like 6. 6 values here, so there's 2 middles. So it should stop here on the tree and then advance one more here. Clearly, it isn't happening. So, yeah, not sure if putting the condition here is gonna work as well. 'Cause I think that the problem with putting this one is that it's gonna fail in some cases. That's... But maybe not. Maybe this was the problem. But I think I tried with the other one. It should be 0. 6 divided by 2. Why isn't it printing this stuff here? I have to put this, but I don't understand why it's not printing. So length should be 6. Oh no, I'm confusing. Length is the middle, not the whole thing. I'm lazy, so I don't want to do the math to figure out which one is just easier to test. Yeah, so this should be... But I'm pretty sure this wasn't printing either. Yeah. Maybe it's because I have to put parentheses. Okay. Oh. I'm sprinting because it's outside. This doesn't make sense to me. I did think about this. Like, there's some there's some situations where the list is just gonna be too small, so it's not gonna go over here. But should that matter? Because it's just gonna be divided. The remainder is gonna be 0. But it does matter because if it's 2 or 3, then it's the same thing. And but I don't think that's the reason why this one is failing, this test case. But I think it's gonna fail either way because of that. So like I have to think about a better way to count how many nodes there are. And so it should be printing here. It is 1. It's obviously different than 0. Also, it is printing now. So I guess it was just because of the parentheses. It wouldn't make sense. Should be this one. Maybe it does make sense actually. Because if, but it's probably the task that it is 6. So, like, why is it? I think it has to be with this condition, obviously, because otherwise it was giving another error. But I don't understand why. Maybe because this low doesn't have. That's probably that. But it doesn't make sense, actually. Oh, obviously, it's because I'm testing here, but I'm not making it equal to the head, so it doesn't have anything. So like this is one of the thing, one problem, I think. But probably the error that I'm getting is something else. Oh, maybe it was that. And so now it's this thing, but I think it's gonna, yeah. Maybe it works, but then it's gonna fail on the other ones. So I think I'm gonna look at the solution. So he didn't do this thing here. So I guess when you do this, it just automatically goes to the second one is if it is even. So probably you only need to do this if you want the other way around to get the first nodes out of the two in the middle. And the other thing that he did different was the I think initialize the same way. So what was wrong with my thing? Let's remove. Maybe it was just the length, but I don't understand why though. Doesn't make sense. Oh, it's because I'm doing slow here, that's the difference. So this is the thing that I was confused in the beginning that I don't understand very well. So the only explanation that makes sense is that when you reassign this one, it changes the value of the head. I mean, actually not. I'm dumb. It's just like moving two times. Yeah, I think I'm overcomplicating this. Because it's reassigning here as well. But so maybe if I do like this, it should work. Because I'm getting the next here and then I'm getting two. But I think it's gonna fail. So I don't understand why this one doesn't work. It's obviously here stepping to like twice as fast. So here it should be the same. Because this one is the next one and this one is the next from the next. I think that the difference here is that like this one goes twice as fast, it always goes 2 steps above. It doesn't go, so as the list grows, this one just keeps going 2 times more. I think that's the difference. Yeah. So this is always 2 ahead of this one, but it doesn't go twice as fast. That's the problem. So when you do like this, regardless of the length of the thing, it's gonna go twice as fast as the other one. Yeah. So just got confused there, I think. So I think I'm gonna stop here. And I'm gonna space out more, I think. So at least for now, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I want to finish this stuff as fast as possible. So I think I'm gonna try to keep the frequency of studying and reading all these things like higher in the beginning, just so through spaced repetition, I get more familiar with everything. Which I think is like an overkill for most people, probably. But like I'm gonna be going really hard, I think. So for me, it's probably good. It's like, yeah. But I think for most people, it's probably better to just do more exercises. But after I finish all this stuff, or once I'm getting to the point where I'm close to finishing, then I change the frequency gradually to do more exercises and start working on projects, and then decrease the amount of videos and stuff that I'm watching. But until that point, I think I'm going to space out more streams, until I study all this stuff. Then after I'm finished, I'm going to probably stream more and then do more exercises and study less. But I know that I'm really only going to be able to like fully understand once I start getting practice, forcing myself to actually use this stuff. So, but I think it's good to do this. At least I'm gonna have more awareness, and it's gonna be easier to on the start to think about what kind of things I can do. And then obviously eventually, because the biggest downside of this thing that I really don't like is that like I still can figure out a way to improve the way that I think. So, and this is the biggest importance to me. It's not so much about solving the exercise, it's more about improving the way that I think about it. So the question is always when to choose something, not which approach, because that's always going to be the challenge. There's always going to be multiple different solutions. And the skill comes on understanding the trade-offs between the different solutions and when you should use each thing. And that's the hardest thing to answer. So that's the stuff that is highest priority for me. So I'm not really sure if when it gets to the point that I'm gonna do exercise, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna continue with LeetCode or if I'm gonna go straight to the project that I'm working on. To see if I can build something that is gonna help me understand when to use each thing, not just because that's the stuff that bothers me the most about this stuff. It's like, okay, I can think about this like solution, but I know it's not gonna be the best because my intuition is not very good because I don't have a lot of experience. So that's the plan. So maybe in a couple of days, so continue to stream and probably do this exercise or continue the project that I'm working on. So see you then.